All right, we are live. All right, and we're going to present. All right, welcome everybody to the crash course on Unix command, GitHub, Git, and ROS2. So we're going to basically use this to get you guys introduced to a lot of the tools that we are going to be using in the software team. If you guys know this already, I apologize, just kind of listen along. If you already know this, you can kind of just mess around on your own computer, or I guess you kind of don't really have to be there. Kind of up to you. But if you don't know this, we are going to try and give you a basic introduction to a lot of the things that we will be using. So the agenda for today is we're going to start off with Unix commands. This is commands that you use in your terminal. I will be doing that part. Then we're going to do Git and GitHub, which is how we will be controlling our version control for every code that we write in the robotics club, as well as sharing it with each other. We will have a main repo. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, but we will all be able to connect to it and then make changes that will reflect for everyone else. And then Liam's gonna talk about what that is conceptually. We have slides for that. And then we'll also introduce you guys to our basic Git workflow. And then we'll have you make your first pull request if you've never done that before. And then if we still have time, which hopefully we will, because we have a lot planned for today, we're going to introduce you guys to ROS2. So ROS2 is the basically system that we'll be using for our software for robotics. And it stands for the Robot Operating System, edition number 2. And it allows us to have a lot of features which make us our job coding a robot a lot easier. So we will introduce you to packages in ROS, nodes in ROS, and topics in ROS, and you'll actually be able to write some code in ROS yourself. So one thing with ROS is for us, it will be only supported for Ubuntu Linux, which is where we have a slight issue here with all these Macs. So we are getting, want to help me out here because I'm brain farting?
The construct sim.
Yes, we're using an online ROS IDE basically for today. And then eventually we'll get you guys SSD drives where you'll be able to plug into your computer or computer here, depending on your system. And then you'll be able to encode code in Linux that way, but we don't have those yet.
So you like type something, you have to wait like a second for it to
it's gonna be really painful, but it's the best solution that we could come up with for
given the situation. So yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so that is our agenda for today. I'm going to start you guys off on some Unix commands. So since the majority of you guys are on a Mac, and that makes me happy because I know Macs, what we're going to do is I'm gonna close my terminal real quick, go over to your home screen basically. And then if you know where your terminal is, go ahead and open it up. If you don't, we're going to do command space, and that brings up Spotlight search. This is how you can search just about anything on your Mac. And then we're going to search for a terminal. And then we should see something come up like this. And then we're going to click terminal, and it's going to open. And this is the old version of my terminal, so I need to do it a little bit differently. But for you guys who haven't installed something weird, just command search, terminal, and that will get it open. So let me go and open my other terminal. All right, so you should see like a little black box on your screen. Does everyone see that? Yes, yes, yes.
Anyone not have their terminal open? Okay, cool.
All right, sweet. So who here has actually used the terminal before? All right, about majority of you guys?
Yeah, how many of you would classify yourself as like competent with a terminal? Okay.
Okay, all right. When you open up your terminal, you guys should see a little squiggly character over there. Do you see a squiggly character in your command prompt? Squiggly. All right. Does anyone know what the squiggly means? Yeah, it means home. So basically, your files, like you're used to navigating them, you probably use Finder, right? You'll use Finder, and then if we wanted to go to desktop, we click on desktop. If I wanted to go into this demo folder, I click through here. Maybe I wanted to go into this one, I just keep clicking through them, right? But it turns out we can actually navigate what's called our file system using the terminal. And the terminal allows us to navigate to our file system and do a lot of other powerful stuff. So we are going to go over some basic stuff with the terminal today. So the terminal gives us some information about it. So when we look at the terminal, we see that little squiggly line. That's telling us where in our file system we are currently. So this is the home. It's basically if you're standing right here in something called the file tree. So when you see the little squiggle, you are in the home and you're like right here. And we can confirm this using a Unix command. So here's the first command that we're going to talk about today. And it is ls. Who knows what ls is? Yes, list. And go ahead and type ls and enter. You guys should see some very familiar things. You'll see documents, you'll see desktop, you'll see downloads. If you have other stuff installed on your computer, you'll see a bunch of that. So that is like looking at all of this stuff basically. So when we do ls, what it does is it shows us the current files and directories in basically where in the file tree we are. So that's what ls does. It's very useful to kind of figure out where you are. All right, so now.
Even more useful is you can type TWD.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that one.
Okay.
Yeah. This is kind of just to show you what's here and a little bit about where you are, but there's a better one for that, which we'll get into. So now, basically, I'm going to take you guys on a little tour of your file system. And by the time we're done, we'll clean up everything that we've done. So I will have you make some stuff and don't worry, we'll get rid of it when you guys are done. So don't worry if it's like, you're making all these files. Oh my God, we'll clean it up. Okay, so what we're going to do is I want to navigate to my desktop. Let's pretend that I want to go click on this demo folder. Well, how do I do that through the terminal? Well, we're going to use a command called cd, and it stands for change directory. So we're going to say cd space, and then where we want to go. So it's cd, and I want to go to my desktop, like that. So it's cd space, where do you want to go? And capitalization matters on some computers and some it doesn't. Kind of depends on how you have stuff installed.
On Unix it does.
Yeah. So make sure when you did ls, you should see desktop here, and that will show you what capitalization you should be using. So we're going to cd and then desktop, and then we can click on enter. And when we click on enter, your file path is what this is called. Basically telling you where you are. Should have say desktop now. Did this work for everyone? All right, so basically what your terminal is looking at right now is your entire desktop screen, or what I have over here on the side with Finder. So now go ahead and do ls again. So now when I do ls, it has changed and it's showing me everything that's on my desktop. So commands we've covered so far, ls shows you what's in your current directory, and cd stands for change directory, takes you from point A to point B. All right, so now let's go ahead and we're going to make a folder. Now, if we were to do this, normally you'd probably tap with two fingers and click new folder. But since we are software people and we want to learn the terminal, we are not going to do that anymore. This is now forbidden. I'm kidding. But we're going to learn how to do it using the terminal. So the command for that is called mkdir. It stands for make directory. So you're going to say mkdir space, and then whatever you want to call this. So I'm going to just call this robotics. And the only limitations to what you can call it is you technically can use spaces, but for my sanity, please do not, because spaces separate the commands that we give to the terminal. So when you use a space, you have to escape it and things get weird. So you can name your folders anything you'd like, just name them without spaces. If you'd like to use a space, just use an underscore instead. All right, so robotics, and then enter. And if you have Finder open on the side like I do, you'll notice that we have a new directory here. So, and we can also confirm that using ls, and we can see that we have this robotics directory in here. So now what I want to do is I would like to put some code or some files within this robotics directory. And if I were just using my normal system, I'd probably go over here and I'd click on robotics. But we're not going to click on anything anymore. How did we get from point A to point B before? What command did we use? CD. All right, so we're going to CD into this new folder that we created. And we're going to CD into robotics. So you might notice if you are looking at the screen over there, robotics kind of auto-filled for me. I do not type that fast. If you get to know me, you'll know that I cannot type that fast. So one thing that's really cool is tab complete. So if you start typing a file or directory or something that's known to Unix, and you hit tab, it will auto-complete it for you. So this is a really cool shortcut that's really nice for our long file names. And we'll probably end up using it a lot in robotics club because some of the stuff we got to type out is really long, and that's not fun.
You pretty much never fully type anything out.
Yeah.
Just because, like, even if it is short, you want to make sure that you typed it right. So if you hit tab and it autocompletes, you know that you're typing it in right. So always tab.
Yes. All right. So now we are in robotics when we do that. And we can see that by the terminal. It's going to look a little bit different for you guys because I have upgraded my terminal recently and I made a mistake because I do a lot of stuff like this where I teach people terminal stuff. But you should see something where it says robotics. So now let's pretend we got lost in our file system. Maybe we're several directories deep and we have no idea where we are. It might say robotics. Like for me, it's giving the full file path, but for you guys, it probably just says robotics. So how do you figure out where you are? Well, that's going to be PWD. It stands for print working directory. So let's enter that. So it shows me basically everywhere where I've been. So if we go back to this file tree structure, we'll see at the very top, there's this slash, and that's called the root directory. It's like the highest up that's possible. And then from that, you have users. So if you have multiple users on your computer, they'll be here. And then we have myself. So this is the user of the computer, it's me. And then we went to desktop. Remember, guys, we CD'd to desktop, and then we CD'd to robotics, and they're all separated by slashes.
By the way, if you're on a Linux system, it's going to be /home instead of /users.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is to find out kind of where you are. This can be very helpful if you're lost. Yeah, so this is a good one to know. Yes, often you will be. So PWD, let's say we want to create a new file. So we'll be creating a lot of new files because we're programming. So what we're going to do for that is we'll use the touch command. It's TOUCH. So TOUCH space. And then it's always the command space, kind of what you want it to do. So it's going to be touch, and then we're going to give it a file name. And since we're doing Python today, we're going to have you guys make a Python file real quick. So I'll just do hello.py. And where hello is my file name and .py is my extension. So if you want to create a file, you do touch, and then the name you want the file, dot the extension that you want to give it. So if you want to make a text file, you do .txt. If you want to make a C++ file, .cpp, so on and so forth. So touch hello.py. We're going to enter, and I'm going to just make sure my finder is at the same place as my terminal. And if we do ls, we have hello.py here right now. So should I have them write something in it with them?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yes?
let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. If you guys don't have Vim, then we're going to skip this.
Everyone try typing. You should, if you type in VI,
If you should have a Mac.
VI.
Yeah, if you have a
everyone
Mac, you
know,
have Vim.
VI is in the POSIX standard, so they should have it. No, every POSIX compliant operating system should have Vim. Is that right, Mike? Every, like, isn't VI defined, like, for a system to be POSIX compliant, they have to have Vim or VI?
No, I don't know if POSIX does that, and I know some people.
All right. In the meantime, while they're talking, let's create one more file.
You should
And you
have
can
one.
name it anything you want, just like test.txt, just any file. Just get practice creating one more.
We're gonna leave them open with VI here. You're just gonna.
I was going to have them. I wanted to
try it?
use cat.
Well, cat, yeah, they need to put some stuff in
Exactly,
there.
so I wanted them to
echo,
just-
here.
Here, you
If
do.
So yeah.
Liam's gonna take over because Liam is
So
terminal person.
this is not how you should ever write anything to a file. But what you could do if you want to put some stuff in that text file is you can do echo. So echo, for example, if I were to write hello, it's just going to print back hello. So what we can do is basically take the outputs of echo and just using this little greater than bracket, we can just put that
In the
into text.
Yeah,
So
not
that
in the Python file.
basically that's a redirect. It just takes the output and writes it to the file. So if we do cat, which reads the file, and do the file, you'll see that it now says hello on the inside.
Yeah. So in the future, anytime you're in the robotics club, this is not how you'll be filling files with stuff. Please do not do this. Pretty please for our sanity.
Yeah, for your
Um,
sanity, really.
Yeah, and also your own sanity. But basically, we just wanted you to put something in this text.txt file. So you can use this cat command. So basically, to review what we just did, we use touch to create a new file. And then we're going to ignore this. We're never going to use that again. So don't take notes on it. Never want to see it again. But next thing that we wanted to talk about was cat. And cat is an easy way to see kind of what is in your file from the terminal without having to go and open it up. All right, so now Let me make sure I talked about
Or show
everything.
them just CD or CD total. Just to
Yeah.
go back to the home.
Yeah, and then I'll have them bring back here and then I'll have them delete the files of the folders.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to bring back the CD command. So CD kind of has tunnel vision, only looks forward, really. So if I wanted to do CD back to desktop, this is not going to work out too well for me. I'm trying to autocomplete and it's not working. So CD is too focused on the future. It can't go back into the past and reflect on anything. So we got to work around that. So how do you go backwards? There are two different ways to go backwards, and I'm going to show you both of them right now. So all these slides with all this we'll post that on the Discord somewhere at some point. But the first one is to do CD ... and that brings you one directory towards the root. So towards the root being, if we are in downloads right here and we enter CD ... that will bring us back to user. So right now, if I were to enter CD ... before you guys do it, where is it going to bring me? Yeah, it's going to bring me to desktop. You can see that reflected by the path up there. And then if I ls or no, pwd, we can see I am no longer in that robotics folder. I am now in desktop. All right, now let's say we are really, really deep in our file system, like way down there. And we don't want to keep doing CD ... a bunch of times. And that can be kind of confusing sometimes. What if you want to go all the way back to the root? Not the root, actually, not the root, the home. So like right here, if you want to get back to home, you're going to do CD tilde or just CD. They both do the same thing. It doesn't matter. So if I do CD and I enter, we're back at that tilde directory again, which is the home. So I just want to check in with people. Is everyone, is this working for you guys?
Questions? Anyone
Yeah,
have any
questions.
questions?
Yeah,
So,
why
yeah.
do they allow both syntaxes because one came first and then they
Which CD tilde?
Yeah, it was like CD tilde the
So-
first variation and then they shortened it to just CD and so
No, so tilde, I'm gonna need Mike to fact check me on this, but CD tilde is not a universal Unix thing. So tilde only works on some systems. Technically, the only guaranteed way to go home using CD is like this. This basically reads that $ home is a bash shell variable which
Okay.
contains the directory. I think CD also
CD
works.
with no arguments is exactly the same as CD.
Yeah, but CD.
It actually reads the environment.
Yeah, so CD tilde though, tilde is like a.
Tilde is special and it doesn't exist everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't really know the story of the tilde.
Yeah,
okay.
but some systems it won't work on, so just type CD really.
Yeah.
So
Um,
it's kind of what I was assuming. It's like there's just variations and Mac supports both of them.
Yeah.
The
Well, yeah,
environment.
any implementation of CD will support just CD enter.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So
for
probably
answering.
best to use CD tilde is kind of just up
It's less
here because it
characters.
exists. Yeah.
it's-
Honestly, I should remove it from the slides.
yeah, it's faster
Yeah.
to type CD.
Okay, so now we're back at the home directory. And let's say we want to navigate through a long path. Like I don't want to type CD desktop and then CD robotics. I can do this all in one step. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do CD. And the next place, I know I'm in the root, right? So the next place I want to go is the desktop. And I can autocomplete that. And notice how it puts that slash at the end by default. We want that there. Don't remove that. And then, so we're telling it we're going to go to the desktop. And then from the desktop, where do we want to go? We want to go into robotics. So you can make a file path like this. It's basically telling your computer directions of where to go through your system. So if you're telling someone how do you get to your house, you're going to tell them take this street, take a left, take a right, etc. You're going to give them a long list of instructions on how to get there. The file path is basically a path or directions through the file system for your computer to access the thing that's there. So we're going to CD. It's going to go to the desktop and then into robotics all in one step. And if we enter, we should see that we're back in robotics. If we wanted to confirm this, we could do pwd, and that would print the file path for print working directory. Yeah. Okay, so now if we ls, we should see that our files are still here. And I promise you guys that we are not going to have any remainders of what we have done on your system. Yeah, I'll have them removed, then I'll have them MV And then, yeah, okay. So first we're going to delete this hello.py that we never ended up using. So if you were to delete it normally, we would come over here, we would press this, and then we'd move to trash, or we just drag it. We are not going to do that. We're going to use the terminal, and we're going to use the RM command, standing for remove. RM space, and then whatever it is we'd like to delete. So we're going to do rm hello.py. And if we enter that,
What's up, CJ?
Question.
yes.
Does that move it to the trash? or
No,
does it just
no,
wipe it?
it is gone.
Okay.
I mean, you could get it back, but you'd have to be like a data forensicist.
Okay, so we gotta be
forensics person.
careful with like RM
Be-
tab and then insert.
Be careful
Okay.
with RM because you're not getting that back unless you want to like recover it from the hard drive.
Okay.
It will still
Um,
track it on Git though, right?
That's like
Git will-
easier.
if- No, Git.
Yeah.
If you had committed it before with Git, you will be able to recover
Yeah,
it.
because it'll be in a previous.
Yeah.
It'll be. They'll have. We'll talk about Git later.
Yeah, and we're working everything in Git. So
But-
technically, if you do remove something, we will be able to get it back. But yes, that is a very
I'll
good
talk
thing to
more
know.
about the dangers of RM once you're done.
Yeah, sounds good. Okay, and now we've removed this. If we ls, we can confirm it, and we're also confirming it by the Finder window that I have up to the side. It is gone, and it's gone for good. All right, so now, one thing that I want to do, this text.txt, that's kind of like a really bad name for this file. And I have realized this, and I've named my file incorrectly. How can I change it? Well, I could normally go over here to rename. Not going to do that. We're not touching the file. We are going to go from the terminal, and we're going to use the move command. So with move, we do mv space, and then it's what we have now to what we would like it to become. So right now we have test.txt. So I'm going to enter that right here. So that's what we have now, and then what we would like it to become. So I'm going to just name this demo.txt like that. And you can name it anything you like as long as there's no spaces. Yes.
You could add file paths in there too. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, move also can move
Yeah.
them to separate directories.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this case, it just moves it to the same directory with a different name.
Okay.
Mhm.
And does that function work in two parts? Does it like rename and then move the directory, or does it like basically copy everything to RAM,
It
like remove the file and then?
That's
paste it
beyond me.
somewhere? Okay.
it yeah basically deletes it.
Okay.
This will delete it and make a new one in the new place.
Okay.
If you wanted to keep the original instead of
There's,
MV,
like, CP,
yeah, you
right?
do CP for
Okay.
copy.
Yeah, but that's
Thank you.
advanced topics. We're trying to give you guys the very bare bones basics. There's so many more Unix commands that you guys can learn on your own. This is kind of
You
just
can
something to get
even
you started.
take a class on it.
Oh yeah.
CIS 90 with Mike.
Oh my
Patera,
gosh.
who's not
Promotion,
listening.
promotion. Yeah. Okay, so if we enter this, again, it's MV, what we have now, what we'd like it to be. We can see in our Finder, this is changed to demo.txt, and we can confirm this using ls. It is now demo.txt. All right, so now we have gone over, just to review, CD to a directory takes you from point A to point B in your file system. CD ... moves you one up to the root. CD tilde or just CD, we're going to use just CD. I'm going to remove this from the slides, takes you to the home. We're going to do ls, which lists the stuff in our directory. And then pwd, it prints out the file path that we've gone on. mkdir creates a directory. Touch creates a new file. mv moves the file. You can either move it from one place to another, or you can just change the name. Cat shows us the file contents. And now we are into the removes, the two different removes.
Yeah, let's use rm-rf just with the demo text file inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Not the whole directory?
No, I'm
I
saying-
wanted to go back.
Yeah, go back and then keep it in there.
Yeah, that's what I was
until-
gonna do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
cool.
Okay, so let's go ahead and use cd ... to bring us back to our desktop, because we don't want to delete anything that you already had. We only want to delete the stuff that I put on your computer, which I put all on the desktop. So we're gonna cd and then ... And now we're back on the desktop. I'd like to confirm that my robotics file is here. If I do ls, there it is. Robotics is there. And now I'd like to remove robotics. So what I might think to do for this would be rm robotics. And if I enter, it's going to give me an error here. It says rm robotics. No, it's a directory. You cannot do that. So when we want to remove a directory, we have to add, this is a tag, right? What is this?
Those flags. I
Flags.
think.
Oh, I've heard it wrong all my life. Okay, we're going to add a flag to our command, which makes our command do something different than what it normally does. So what we're going to do is we will rm negative rf space and then the directory we'd like to remove. And
Yeah.
this is to remove the directory that has contents within it.
Yeah, basically, this flag here is basically two separate ones. The R stands for recursive, so that means it's going to go into the directory and each of the subdirectories and clear everything out. And the F just stands for force. It basically means it's going to like complain if you just do F. It's gonna be like, oh, there's contents in the subdirectories. The F just says, I don't care, delete everything in this directory.
So be careful with this one.
This is be very careful about this one. I would say don't even use it unless you know what you're doing. If you want to delete everything in a folder, just delete all of them and then move back to the directory and do rmdir. I'll talk a little bit about that later. You can go ahead.
Yeah, so this one's dangerous. Please be careful with it. I probably use it too frequently and that will eventually get me into trouble. Somehow I've never gotten into trouble with this.
That's surprising.
I know. Okay, so make sure, I want everyone, please make sure we are removing robotics, not anything else. I will not be responsible for you removing all of your Cabrio files. Okay, and then we're gonna enter. And if we list our stuff from our desktop, we can see that that file has been gone. Your system has been cleared of everything that I have done to it.
The one thing you really need to be careful with rm-rf, I don't know if this is still a thing, but back in the day, if you were to type in sudo, which just means like do the command as a super user, rm-rf/, it would actually go to the root directory, which is called / in the system. You can see it right over there. And it would delete everything on the inside. It wouldn't care. It would just go ahead and just delete every file on your system. So people back in the day would be like asking for Linux help and, you know, like, oh, my system isn't working. People are like, oh, just run sudo rm-rf/, and they would just completely delete their systems. I think nowadays there is safeguards put in place that it'll tell you, but I'm not sure. I haven't tested it. I wouldn't recommend testing it either. Just don't do it ever is what I'm trying to. So always be careful with the rm-rf because Linux gives you the gun to shoot yourself in the foot with. It'll delete things. It'll do exactly what you say, and it won't care if it hurts you. So be very careful with that. That's just the thing I wanted to say. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so that is my summary of the Unix commands that I think are useful to you guys. There are so many more. You
There's a
can talk
bunch.
so many more.
Ask
Liam knows-
Ryan or Mike.
Yeah, or Liam, who knows all of them, basically. Or I think they know all of them. They probably don't. But this will get you started. If you have any questions on this, now would be a good time to ask. Or was that all pretty clear? Yes.
Will all this be available like the slideshow?
Yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna figure out where we're gonna end up posting this because we've never done slides for robotics until this
Yeah.
semester. And these slides were made like very recently. So we will
Like
figure out
20
where
minutes
this is
before.
going. But yeah, everything we covered today, like we have slides, we have docs, we have a lot of stuff that we're gonna go through. You'll find a way to get to it. We'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll find a way to get it to you.
Yeah.
What we mean.
Yeah, I can't words.
Yeah.
Questions on Unix?
Is there any good online resources to check out?
Actually, yes.
There's
There,
quite a lot.
yeah, there's the one that I was using that was pretty good.
Yeah, there's what is the website? Mike, you recommended a website in one of your classes, right? That has a bunch of Linux stuff. I think I remember one.
I mean, I use
Escape.
my class.
Yeah.
You just download it.
I think there's linuxjourney.com. I think I remember seeing this. This will give you a bunch of different stuff. If you want to look at linuxjourney.com, you won't need to know that much Linux stuff for the class. Most of you are probably going to just be in VS Code doing Python. But if you do want to look into it, if any of you want to be software devs, you should know Linux.
Mhm.
Because you're either going to be on Mac or Linux, or if you hate yourself, maybe Windows. But yeah, so I would recommend looking into it. It feels good to know what you're doing. Trust me, I about a year ago, I was a Windows user and I decided to go cold turkey. I wiped my Windows system and installed Linux, and I haven't looked back since. People will try to scare you off by saying it's hard. It's not that bad. If you're using something like Ubuntu, it's really not that bad. But just don't let Orion talk you into using Arch Linux.
Yeah,
I would
listen to
rather-
us.
yeah,
We know
don't-
better.
Don't do that.
Actually, better yet, listen
I-
to just him.
Yeah, I think Mike, you had Mike again. Take Mike's class. I couldn't recommend it enough, really. But Mike had something about using Ubuntu where you used what
I use
Fedora
my
for a bit.
computer for work, which means that I don't want it to be fucked ever because I updated a package and now it's broken.
Yeah. I think I remember you giving an anecdote where you were using Fedora, I think,
Yeah.
and you updated your graphics drivers and it just fucked your entire system.
Yeah, I put the new version of Fedora on and they were like, oh yeah, the NVIDIA driver is not ready for this X version of X server yet. No ETA, but we released it and I was just like, what? Like, what?
Yeah. Eventually, if you get like fluent enough in Linux, you might be like, oh, I don't like Ubuntu. But my general rule of is if you don't know what distro to use, just use Ubuntu until you have a reason not to. So for all of you, it should be fine.
Yeah. And then in addition, I'll bring this one up more later, but the construct thing that we're going to look at, that's super buggy for us. They do have a Linux course that I'm in the middle of taking, and so far it's pretty good. Especially because it's specific for what do you need to know Linux flies for using ROS, and I'll promote that later. I'm not all the way through it yet though, so I can't fully promote it. I can promote it with asterisks saying that so far it's okay.
Well,
we're gonna
over
go on
Don't
that
worry
later.
about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna be using construct sim for the ROS stuff to teach you
Yeah,
guys.
it's gonna be
anyhow,
so fun. And
It's gonna be great.
yeah. Okay,
Don't
so
be scared off.
that summarizes my Unix commands